Hello, everyone. We got Dan Real, the big freaking real deal here today. And he's going to educate us on a couple things, y'all. Get ready. It's all about moving into the prime space. It's about the appearance of your dealership. It's about turn. It's about your pricing. Get ready. It's going to be great.
Dan, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Say, let's do this.
Let's do this.
Welcome to the Independent Dealer Podcast, the podcast for auto dealers to learn and grow together. Here are your hosts, Luke Godwin and Jeff Watson.
All right, here we are with our good friend Dan Real of Reals Auto. Dan, this is our very first section. We're going to call it the 0 to 60. In 60 seconds, tell us your backstory, a little bit where you came from, your history, how you went from selling 0 cars to selling up to 60 or close.
So our business started in 1998. We were 100% buy here, pay here dealer. We moved. Let's back that up.
We got 60 seconds, buddy. Step it up.
Yeah, I got honestly, I got my start in the business by dumb luck. My father and brother had a dealership, small dealership, 10 cars, and I joined the family business. And today we just do all retail business.
Nice. So you're 100% retail.
100%.
Started in buy here, pay here.
Dan, tell everybody where you are, man. Expand on that 60 seconds. That was like 15 seconds, man. Tell us where you are, what you do.
We're in Orwell, Ohio. Orwell is an hour east of Cleveland, hour west, northwest of Pittsburgh or so. Our town has 1,900 people total. So we're literally in the middle of cornfields and factories, and it's a small town. And thankfully for the internet, we drive traffic here. Yeah, so super duper small town. Probably one of the smallest ones that you could hold a dealership in. We got one stoplight, tons of Amish buggies driving by every day. I'm not kidding. I mean, we got Amish buyers. It's very unique demographics.
Are you the used car dealer in town?
I'm the used car dealer in the county. I mean, there's 57 of us, but we are definitely we set the bar for everybody. Not only in the number of sales, being the leader in sales for 10 years in a row, but leading them in how we react in the community. So,
well, that was a great segment there, Dan, that you segue into what I was going to talk about. Dan does set the bar for a lot of us. And if y'all don't know, Dan and a friend of ours down in Fort Myers started the Facebook page. And Dan's also a leader on the NIADA. You're the vice president of Region 2, right, Dan?
Region 1. Region
1, that's right. I'm in Region 2. And so Dan really sets the bar for all of us independent dealers. And Dan, talk about your experience in what you've learned from working with other dealers, because you're really close to a lot of dealers, and you really listen and hear a lot that some of us don't hear. How does that help you in your business today?
So that's a wonderful question. And to be honest with you, when I started in the business, I knew nothing about the business minus changing tires, washing a car. I learned how to sell a car like back in our buy here, pay here days, but being part of an association has really come full circle. I didn't have any experience whatsoever selling cars. So it's allowed me to meet people like yourself, other dealers around the state, some of the best operators in the country, and actually go there and shadow their dealerships, kind of take my notepad and just be a fly on the wall and pick up every little thing I can. And I go to all the different NIADA and state functions. I don't think I've missed maybe 1 or 2 total in 9 or 10 years. But when I do that, if I find myself in, say, the DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth area, I'm not just going to go to the meeting. I'm going to actually Google which dealers are in that market that are part of our Facebook group, which there's 700-800 people in there. And I'm going to visit them, and I'm going to talk to them and get to see their offices. I mean, I visited Godwin Motors, but Luke wasn't there, so, and if I ever go out to Salt Lake, I'm going to visit Jeff. I make sure I went on a dirt bike trip down in West Virginia. I'm looking for dealers because I want to visit everybody and learn. And so basically what the association has done for me, the number one thing has been that networking power. And that networking power is massive. I mean, coming from a guy that I'm good at math, right? But I'm good with people, but I didn't know squat about cars. I don't know about marketing, don't know about how long my recon process should take, how long my turn should be. There's so many details that the association and our group have taught me, and they've really helped me mature. I wish I would have had this stuff 10 years ago. I mean, like, been invested as much 10 years ago.
I agree. I agree with everything you said, Dan. But Dan, you're very good at doing that. I don't typically go to other dealers and look at their operations, but maybe that's something I should start on. So let's back up to the process. And what we really want to talk about today is how you transformed from being a buy here, pay here dealer. And there's nothing wrong with being a buy here, pay here dealer. I'm a buy here, pay here dealer. I do a little retail, but what helped you move from being that buy here, pay here to being all retail? What was the process, and what made you decide to do it, and maybe lead us through the process of doing it?
Sure. So first of all, I miss buy here, pay here. I mean, I'll still do a couple buy here, pay here every once in a while just because I miss it. I love it. It is my background. It is what I did. I did it very well. I mean, we're successful at it to a certain degree, but the reason we switched to the retail side of things, to be honest with you, is we were 100% organically funded. We didn't have line of credits. We didn't have so every dollar that was on the road in our portfolio was money that we had invested. So it was a cash flow decision for me. There was times when I had $5 million in a portfolio, and I'd still worry on Thursday about Friday's payroll. And to me, I needed to know what else was out there. So at first I started dabbling with a couple subprime lenders, and they're okay. I mean, they are what they are, and it was kind of a gateway drug. Like, credit acceptance was big for us because we started doing credit acceptance and seeing some profit day one. That was kind of the transition period. And then next thing you know, I started signing up other lenders, and I had to beg. And oh man, as an independent dealer, and many guys that will listen to this and hear this, for us as an independent dealer at the time, we had a gravel lot. We had, old cars out there, and banks laughed at me. They're like, no way. So I decided to invest, heavily in the dealership, put new signs, pavement, lighting, and then I reapproached the banks, and I started sending them emails and taking pictures in, and going to the banks in person and saying, hey, give us a shot. And we had a couple banks that signed us up, and today we probably have 16 or 17 banks.
So tell me that, Dan, out of that makeup, what percentage of those are CAC? What percentage is subprime, independent?
Okay, yeah.
How does your sales, just out of curiosity, you're not 100%.
Sales are 60% near prime or prime and 40% subprime. And so with that being said, our only subprime lender that we truly deal with is CAC.
Okay. So the 40% of your sales is CAC and your subprime.
Last month was 31% out of 47, I believe. Now, with that being said, we do have some of our lenders that are buying a little deeper. Mm-hmm. Some of the credit unions will they'll buy some of that paper, and a few other national lenders that'll buy some of that stuff now. So,
but as far as the basic lender profile, the bulk of it is banks, credit unions.
Yep.
And then you dabble in the CAC 30 to 40%. Okay.
Which is funny. We were one of the top dealers we were the top dealer in our market for 4 years in a row for credit acceptance. But as I mature and learn more and more about retail and how to structure a deal and work more as a, finance manager, and my guys understand it. It's kind of graduated us, and we've matured some. So
tell me that. I'd love to know from an inventory standpoint, how did you mature? Because I think sometimes those people that dabble in, or that do buy here, pay here, and then want to start dabbling in retail, and I'm speaking for myself, it's very easy to get caught in the middle. And that's the big argument of why people say, hey, I don't want to get into retail, because what happens is then I put a 2014 Sonata next to my 2004 Sonata that I'm trying to buy here, pay here, whatever the case, and then my lot is a mess and nobody knows what I am. How did you do that? Did you do it quick, or did you do it over time?
Well, kind of. So this has all happened over the last 4 years. So about 5 years ago, we were still 100% buy here, pay here, just 5 years back.
Mm-hmm.
Go back 4 years, we were 50% buy here, pay here, 50% CAC. We move forward, we add a bank, and we kind of at this point. But to answer that question, it was challenging in the beginning to a certain degree, but our ACVs were still low back then. Mm-hmm. So the cost of our inventory back then, our average cost was probably about $5,000-6,000. Today, if somebody comes to the dealership looking for a car for cash for $5,000, I literally yesterday that had this happen, $5,000-6,000, I couldn't find a car.
Yeah, no one really can. But
I know. I mean, it just don't happen.
Do you find? Tell me the good and the bad. Tell us the good and the bad. I mean, obviously, everyone thinks, well, when I'm dealing with nicer, newer cars, I've got less headache, less customer headache, less car repair. Do you find that to be true with a nicer, something with 50,000 miles or 40,000 miles, or are you still putting just as much into them?
No, I mean, our recon costs went down slightly. But then again, they're different headaches. You still have headaches. The good credit customer, they're picky, right? They're very picky. And so it depends on the customer and the vehicle. But the good and the bad, I mean, there's a lot more good than bad for me. I mean, the good is the cash flow. The good is the opportunities because of that cash flow that I could provide to my employees and do more good with what I have. I don't struggle with the money like I did in the past. Mm-hmm. And I know that as many cars as I sold buy here, pay here, I was still doing it wrong, So there's no shame in the buy here, pay here game. I mean, it's just I was good at selling cars, not good at managing my portfolio. That's a huge. Yeah. I mean, that right there.
It's a collections game.
That'll put you out of business real fast.
Exactly. And if I was to join a 20 group, say 6 years ago, I'd still be a buy here, pay here dealer because I would have known how to do it better. So it's just how it worked out for us.
Do you battle compression, gross margin compression? I hear about that a lot in that prime area because you're competing with so many people and these cars are just commodities. I mean, I don't know what the markup is on a 2014 Sonata, but it can't be more than a couple $100, because I know.
Actually, Dan, are you pricing the market along with the same lines of Jeff? Let's talk about that. Let's go down that rabbit hole. Are you a V-Auto dealer, or are you pricing the market? Does your market bear a little different than most markets? Can you expand on that?
Yeah, actually, my market is going to be vastly different than, say, an urban dealer. I'm not a V-Auto. I won't probably, unfortunately, never be a V-Auto dealer. Mm-hmm. I price NADA retailer right around. Does that eliminate me from some of the prime buyers that are price shopping? Probably. But then again, like I said, we're in a rural area. We got a great reputation. We're very involved in the community, and people will see the value most time in buying a car from Dan or from Reels versus buying the best, cheapest thing out there. So we do sell the value of the service to the customer, after sale service, stuff like that, and going back to the Sonata question, the margin, or just not Sonata, just sedans, cars, late model stuff, the market's flooded. I literally probably at 25% of my inventory is going to be sedans. The rest are going to be trucks, SUVs. I have so many trucks out there right now. I think there's probably 25 trucks that I got over 20 grand in, Mm-hmm. I don't do cars. I mean, they sit and they sit and they sit. I'm tired.
You're also in a farming community, and you're also in bad weather community. So I could see how that happens. So Dan, down that same line here, people, I guess, buy here, pay here dealers don't really concern themselves a ton with turn. I tend to worry about days on lot and turn a little more than probably most buy here, pay here dealers. But how concerned are you being in the retail space with your turn? Number one, what is your turn? And number two, how concerned are you? And what are you doing to speed that process up?
So absolutely, I worry about turn. So right now at this moment, we are still using a traditional floor plan. I have an opportunity right now with a large bank to probably move away from that in the future. So if any of our future sponsors hear this, but anyways, we are looking at moving into a more traditional, lower cost of money. So the days on the lot, the turn time is super important because when you buy a truck for 20 grand, that curtailment's going to be pretty heavy. So We do focus heavily on that. Our cars are turning on average of right now, thanks to the 20 group stuff, I think 37 days.
That's great, man. That's 37 days is awesome.
Mhm.
Do you
Yeah,
have a
we still got an old one every once in a while, but on average, we're doing pretty well there.
do you have a drop dead date, or do you rarely take them back to auction? How do you make sure when a car gets to 60 or 90 days that you're figuring this out?
So we will just lower prices. I mean, taking them back to the auction is really not a reality for me. I will take a few aged units if I had the thing for 100 days. I'm tired of looking at it. I'll just take a beating at the auction, move on. If I'm not getting a bad buy is a bad buy. Sometimes you can't bounce out of it. But in reality, I try to avoid wholesaling retail ready units at all costs. If a car needs a ton of recon, yeah, I'll ship it out. If it's not a car that fits my newer image, it's gone, so.
And that's, man, I'll tell you, you are leading me into all kind of good stuff here.
Yeah.
So one of the things I heard when you were talking about getting those banks that you got was the appearance of your dealership. Let's talk about, I've seen the transition and I've not been to your dealership, but Dan and I are really good friends, and I like to do some snooping like he does with me and look at pictures. He sends me some pictures, but your dealership going from the dirt lot to paved lot, and you've updated your showroom and you've updated your service facility. Talk about how much it matters for your brand and for business that your dealership looks like somebody wants to do business there.
Yeah, the image overhaul that we did was single-handedly the best decision we ever did. It was expensive. We bought new equipment. We bought obviously the pavement on the lot, the LED lighting, the fancy sign on the building. I get compliments from the community all the time. I get the car, that 14 Sonata we talked about. You know how much better it looks when it's shined up on asphalt than and I had nice gravel. Nothing wrong with getting I had good gravel, but the car looks better. And I have a good friend of mine. He won a national quality dealer out of Columbus, Ohio, Mark Meadows, and he had bugged me for a couple of years. He's like, you need to fix that right away. He goes, that car is going to look better. It's going to sell better. Just fix your image, So we invested the money. One of the other major things that came along with that was the quality of the staff. You're getting a better quality customer, right? The image is there. It's more dealership than car lot. And you know how many times people are like a car lot dealership. It's like, no, we're a dealership. But it's the quality of the actual employee has changed drastically over the last few years. We're obviously pulling in better talent and able to pay them what they need. So that's been huge.
And better staff equals a whole better operation, right?
Oh my God, it's so awesome. I mean, we have everybody that we have working for us. We're blessed, man. I mean, I don't have any weak links right now, and I've always had weak links. But if I don't work for the next month, there's still deposits going to the bank.
Right.
It's a good place.
Yeah.
That makes me think. Yesterday, I wanted to put a post on the Facebook page about that exact topic. I would love to get everyone who's on there who's active to just put a picture or a couple pictures of their dealership or the inside or the outside or those things they're doing that are kind of maybe fun and unique that we could all get ideas from. I would love to see Dan's lot and his LED lighting. What does it look like? Why did he go with that? Or what's he doing on the inside? Does he have oversized couches or a television or a kid's play place or, just clean look? Like that kind of a thing I feel like would be really interesting if we could. Maybe I'll do that post today and I'll see if I can't solicit everybody to contribute.
We have all that. We have all that.
You have that in your lot.
We have all that you just named. Yeah.
See, I would love to see what that looks like. I got a little patch right here. I would love to do a slide and a swing and a little fence around it so the kiddos can be outside. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know that people are doing it. What else? What else you got, Dan? Give me some ideas.
I don't know. I think you named them all, but basically,
I want to see pictures later.
We have more things on the burners that we're going to do. We're building a new service center this year because being that we're in the country, we're doing a lot of wheel and tire packages and lifting up trucks. So we really want to expand on that quite a bit.
Yeah.
So that's something I want to do. I'm going to do a car wash as well. But it's funny we talk about the lighting, right? So we're in this small town of 1,900 people, and everybody in this town tells me I should turn my lights down a little bit at night. they say my dealership's keeping the whole place up, like
yeah.
the lighting.
Light pollution.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, the thing we really wanted to concentrate on was moving, how your move from buy here, pay here to retail. Give the listeners your top 3 things that got you from there to where you are today.
Top 3 things that they have to do, in my opinion, to consider it. First of all, when I decided to go from buy here, pay here to retail, I told myself I'm not gonna dabble. I'm gonna put both feet in, and that's where a lot of dealers might find that trouble is like. I tried for the first few months to do a little bit of a hybrid, right? Buy here, pay here, some subprime, some bank. It's hard as heck. It's just hard to do that. So I told myself, okay, I'm going all in. I'm going to go retail. And I was lucky that we were here for 20 years, or at that time, 16 years. So we had a reputation already that was pretty good. But the biggest thing that you have to do is consider, are you prepared for that? Like, there's such a different business model between the two. Buy here, pay here, you're an underwriter and a collector.
Mm-hmm.
Retail, you're selling it and it's gone and it's forever gone. Now there's things that we do to touch base with customers to keep them coming back in. But anyways, that's the biggest thing, is making sure that you're ready for that. Image is obviously super duper important. I mean, I'm not saying that there's some buy here, pay here dealers. Their image smokes mine. I mean, I've been to a few. There's a couple in Texas I went to. They look like CarMax. I mean, they're massive. So you could do it right and still look good. Your place is beautiful, Luke, and so is yours, Jeff. I've seen both of them. But anyways, image is important. Reputation and getting those banks is going to be the hardest thing that a buy here, pay here dealer might run into. For us, getting the banks, it was challenging at first, but once we got a couple and we started feeding them, 15, 20 deals a month or whatever, they see that there's different sites that banks look at. They could see how many loans you're doing, and then they started approaching us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. So I mean, that's it. I mean, I agree, Dan. It's the don't dabble, your dealership's image, and getting your banks. We could spend probably 2 hours on figuring out how to get the banks, and we may do that at some point.
You can't get the banks without the financials, though.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we were in business for 16 years, all the banks want to see your P&Ls, balance sheets, your bank statements. They want to see that you're legit, like that you could back up what you want to do. And as we and are continuing to grow, we're getting more national lenders versus your regional, lenders. So as you continue to grow, you'll get more. But I mean, if you're going to go into retail, be prepared to literally go under a microscope, because they're going to look at everything. And
that's the reason it's so important within our business to have a good CPA you can count on, and good books, because if you don't, you're not going to get to the point where Dan is today.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the couple minutes we got left with you, Dan, real quick, could you plug or tell us about the Facebook group and why dealers need to be involved? I just want to make a plea to those that are kind of on the sidelines. It's the same handful of guys that are real active and contribute. How do we get them more into it?
Absolutely. So the independent dealer page on Facebook, there's a couple out there, but the independent dealer, like Luke said, Leanne from Fort Myers Automotive and myself, we kind of brainstormed this and came up with the idea, and we got 780 dealers in there. There's a tremendous amount of professional information in there.
That's great.
By far the best group that I belong to, and I'm not saying that because I'm biased, but it is a very, very strong group. Mm-hmm. But dealers, if you're a dealer principal, you need to be in there because of the knowledge that's in there. Yeah, I mean, there's dealers in there that we need to get kind of out of hibernation that are there's some dealers in there, Luke and I know, they make our numbers look like nothing, right? And they're super successful guys. And they kind of like, I'll see them at national events and they're like, yeah, it was a good post. I'm like, man, why don't you ever talk? I was like, you are like way ahead of everybody else. We need your knowledge, But anyway, if you're not part of that group, there's a lot of things in that group that people overlook. For example, the documents. There's a file section. That file section has so many useful things in it that I don't know the dealers ever click the files. I mean, I think there's like 300 different documents in there that us as dealers can modify to make them our own, whether it's a social media release or if it's a goodwill form or a WEO or different policies and procedures and sales scripts. And I mean, it's just loaded with information.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And people can search that group. You can search it for previous posts. So if you got a topic, search and go research what we talked about last month or last year. Yep. You know, and the other thing, chime in. Like everyone, like you said, Dan, so many people on the sidelines, they read it, they take in all the information, but they just speak up. You know, everyone, I'm sure you got something good to say.
That's right. Absolutely.
And don't be afraid to ask. There are no dumb questions. Just ask. We won't crucify you too fast.
Everyone's gun shy after Luke's post about being appropriate.
You know what? Let's talk about that really, really quickly. So that group, the one difference that separates that group from many of the other groups on Facebook is that we are a group of dealer principals, and the most important word there's principles. Like, so we don't want people to lose their morals and swear at people or degrade people or degrade a company that might be a partner vendor of either our state or national associations or a vendor that many of us love and use on a regular basis. Vulgarity is not acceptable. You know what? People tell me it's like, I'm a little too uptight about it. I'm not uptight about it. It's become a brand, and it's got to remain clean. It's got to remain a resource for people of every race, religion, creed, and size of dealership. Mm-hmm. And the only way to do that is, unfortunately, police it. And I've had some people that sent me some pretty nasty messages, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. We're going to keep growing it, and that's good. Mm-hmm. One of the best things that came out of this podcast. I mean, think about that. That's great.
Yeah. Well, Dan, we really appreciate your time today. Guys, if y'all haven't had a chance to be around Dan, he's a real blessing to our industry. He cares, he listens, he will help you. So if you have a chance to meet him, talk to him, you will be better off. So thanks, Dan. We appreciate it.
I appreciate that, Luke. I mean, I'm not really a pedestal kind of guy, and I don't want to ever be there. I just want to be a dealer that helps other dealers and treat you all like brothers and sisters, you know. So I do appreciate the acclaim, although I'm just a regular dude. So thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Appreciate it. Oh, it's always about the beginning. That's where a lot of dealers screw up, man. They get to the 25th of the month and they're like, oh shit, we're not tracking.
Gotta go, yeah.
Like, where you been all month?